Hello, my dear gardening friends. Garden fertilizers, microbial inoculants, all sorts of chemicals and soil amendments which we might be using in our gardens, organic, synthetic, granular form or liquid form. All these products do have a shelf life, and they do have requirements how to store them properly for winter. So in this video we are talking about shelf life, proper storage, because all these different groups of products, they do have their main enemy, which is there fighting the length of their shelf life. And also I'm going to talk how to save money in buying these products for our gardens. So the first section of products which I'm going to talk about would be organic products. And I understand we gardeners stand on different spectrum, from organic gardening all the way to synthetic products which we use. So I lean towards organic gardening, and on my shelf you will see a lot of organic products which I'm using in my garden. So organic products come in two different forms. They can come in liquid form and they can come in granular form. And both these forms of products do have their main enemies, which are taking away the storage life. So what is the main enemy of liquid form organic fertilizers? I do have some of them here. I have neem oil, which comes in kind of semi-liquid form, and then I have Rose RX 3-in-1 neem oil spray. Actually, this is a neem oil spray. And the main enemy of these products would be heat and sun. So when we go to the, let's say, garden center, of course the conditions inside the garden center are such that sun doesn't touch the product, the temperature is very well controlled there, and the packages are closed. So when the customer comes home with the package, right away it is opened, so it gets access to air, access to humidity, and very often I see gardeners store their products near the sun, the source of heat, in a very humid location, and very often I see that packages are open, they are not closed. So let's talk about liquid fertilizers. Liquid fertilizers do freeze in cold areas, so you cannot just store them inside the garage for winter and come inside of the warm house for winter and forget about them there. They do deteriorate. And how do we see if the liquid product is deteriorated or lost its potency after undergoing the freezing conditions? Very often there are two main signs. Very often the product will get crystallized because the different components inside of the mix will get separated. And usually the producers of liquid garden chemicals or fertilizers, they do add different additives to the main ingredient to help it either stick well to the leaves, to spray well, to mix well with water. So during freezing process, those components get separate, and very often you can see the crystallized formation of that liquid. So if you see that, and if you defrost the bottle, and after big vigorous shaking, you can still see the different particles in the mix, it means that probably it's not good anymore, and you should look into safely disposing of it. Another sign that can be something wrong with your product, it can start to become active, especially during the exposure to heat and sun. We have to keep in mind that these products are natural, organic, and the developers of organic products make sure that the components inside of the package stay inactive. But sun and heat and presence of humidity can bring those components into active stage, and they can produce different gases and different foul smells. So if you see that your bottle starts to expand, or there is a bad smell to it, chances are that this product is not good anymore and you should dispose of it. So the main enemy of liquid natural fertilizers and natural products would be sun and heat. And the producers of all these products advise to store it in dry, cool space. I store all my products in the garage where the temperature never goes below freezing. It is attached, our garage is attached to the house. So temperatures here stays consistently cool, but not freezing, which would be the perfect place to store all your garden chemicals and fertilizers and whatnots. The second section of products would be products which are delivered to us in granular form. For example, such products here would be, I have this rose tone fertilizer and I have this garden tone fertilizer for herbs and vegetables, and they're made are made by a Spoma company. I like to use these products in my garden, and they come to us in the shape of granules. And the biggest enemy of these products would be humidity, water, rain, open air in humid environment. And what happens in such situations? When the happy customer comes home, happy beginner gardener, bought this product, brought it into the house, used it, has a little bit of leftover, and then leaves it in the garage partially opened. The humid air goes in, and these granules do have great capacity to absorb humidity. And then all the ingredients inside of this package becomes active, and how do we know that the product is deteriorating? It becomes very clumpy. Right now the package is closed, so it is safe to store it in its original package. And I know that since this package is sealed, the air doesn't have access to it. But the minute I open it, even with the sealed package, what you can do, you can squeeze the package. Even if it is sealed, you can still smell the smell of the fertilizer. So what I do in such cases, for example here, you see I have this tomato tone fertilizer. I opened it up, I used it, some of it, and then I use these plastic freezing bags. They have double sealant here, and I put them in these bags. Another option would be to use plastic containers and store them in plastic containers. This way you assure that humidity doesn't get in and doesn't ruin your products for next year. Of course, it's an investment. A lot of products now are getting expensive, and we want to make sure that we preserve them through the winter and we can safely use them with the good results in our gardens. Here's another example. I have soil acidifier for my hydrangeas, and some of it is used and some of it is not, so I'm keeping it in plastic container. Sorry, plastic bag. One more thing I forgot to tell you about the granular fertilizers. They do have longer shelf life than liquid fertilizers. And how do we know about the shelf life? Well, usually the reputable producers of fertilizers will put expiration date on their package somewhere at the back. Sometimes it gets washed out or scraped off, so you wouldn't be able to see it. But general rule for the shelf life of granular fertilizers would be 5 years. And when you call the customer service of that particular fertilizer, they do have production number on their package, and sometimes they would be able to tell you when you bought it if you don't remember what the date you bought it. But 5 years is a very good time if you're storing your products well in well insulated spaces. Again, I had the situation that very important not to store it on the floor, where of course animals, house pets, children and mice have access to your products. I remember one year I stored my fertilizers close to the floor, and we got a mouse in the garage, and she nibbled on the sealed package, I guess just to find out what's inside. Maybe a surprise is waiting, a lunch for the mouse inside that package. And that package was totally ruined because air got access to it, the mouse created a hole. She didn't eat fertilizer, but she broke the air barrier of the package, and I didn't see it. So learn from my experience, and believe me, I had a lot of caked fertilizers in my life. So proper storage is important for such products. Believe me, you will be so thankful next year in spring when you come into your garage or wherever you store your fertilizers, and you have all these beautifully preserved products to use in the garden. Now let's move to the next type of garden products, inorganic or synthetic products, and they can be fertilizers, soil enhancers, different chemicals which we might be using in the garden, and they do have very long shelf life as long as they are stored properly. And since they're so different, really the instructions would be on the package, and you do need to follow those instructions. But generally, the general rule is that those products should be also stored in dry, fairly not cold, not hot environment, no freezing environment, and they should be serving you for many years. The separate section, of course, would be devoted to all sorts of microbial inoculants, which we might be using in our gardens. For example, last year I used for the first time David Austin mycorrhizal fungi, and these products, when they are stored properly, the shelf life should be 2 years. But of course, 2 years is not much. And I make sure when I store it, no access, absolutely no access to humidity, no access to sun or high heat, because these microbes there can be active, start to become active, and these products wouldn't be so wouldn't work so well when we put them in the soil. But generally, all the enhancers on the soil, microbial enhancers, inoculants of the soil, are usually good for 2 years. So I store my fungi in the plastic container, well sealed, in a dry, shady condition. And at the end of the video, 2 great suggestions for gardeners who are in the process of storing stuff for winter. First one would be, of course, next year when you have something like this sealed and something like this opened, and it's the same product, of course, the first thing you would want to use the open product. I just wanted to make sure we are clear with that. And the second thing, the second good hint would be how to save money on buying all these products. Of course, it's an investment for the gardener, especially for the beginner gardener, and especially now, all these products are costing a lot of money, and we want to save money in buying them. So my suggestion would be, buy all your garden products in the winter, when there is no rush of spring. Everybody is going into the supermarket, everybody is going to the garden center, and loading on fertilizers and whatnots. For example, yesterday I did a homework. I went on Amazon and I checked a Spoma rose fertilizer, and I believe it's 18 bag, a big bag, which you can order through Amazon. And right now the price for it is $28. But when I looked into the history of the price, I saw that in spring last year, the price was $45. So it does pay, if you know what you need for next year, it does pay to buy your products now to save money. And last year, when I was going to look through for fertilizers in the garden centers, there was a big shortage of it. So do yourself a favor when you know what your garden needs. Buy your products now, save money, and you don't need to look around because there might be a shortage next year. Thank you for watching this video, and we will see you next time. Happy gardening!